Oh, hello people, welcome back to Wigwam Gaming, or today we should call it Wigwam Movies Review Show, subtitles Wigwam's opinion on everything that he didn't review in the year 2017. End quote. Good show title. Rolls off the tongue. It's the end of the year, and I figured what better way to recap the whole year than to do a review of every single thing that I missed out on reviewing this year, movies, TV shows, games, and then I started to write that, and it was terrible, and it never ends, so we're going to split it up into 3 videos, and it's great, and you're going to love it. It's going to be amazing. First up, Okja. Okja.
Okja.
Okja.
Okja.
The pig movie. The weird fucking pig movie. A lot of people sure did seem to lose their shit over Okja when it hit Netflix earlier this year. I was not one of them. I originally wrote a whole review for this and was going to cover it, but seeing as how everybody loved it and I hated it, I kind of let it slide through the cracks so I wouldn't get crucified for sharing my differing opinion. No longer shall I hide my opinion of Okja. That movie is bad. It's very bad. Okja has a decent message in it. Industrial farming is cruel and bad for animals. It's the kind of message where you nod your head and you say, yeah, I can get behind that. And, well, there is no and. There is no follow-up to that statement. Okja is a movie by Bong Joon-ho, who also directed one of my least favorite movies of all time, Snowpiercer, which suffers from a lot of the same problems as Okja. Apart from the concept of that movie being completely ludicrous, I mean, seriously, the whole world freezes over, so everybody gets on a train. Who the fuck? Snowpiercer, much like Okja, tries to teach us an important social lesson that everyone already knows. In Snowpiercer, it's classism. In Okja, it's that meat is evil. Both of these movies fail to elaborate on these concepts or build up to anything profound. They don't offer any solution to these problems either. They're just an hour and a half of, hey, isn't that thing bad? Doesn't watching this movie and seeing how bad this thing is make you feel like you're doing something, even though you're not? Here's a fun game for you. Go up and try and find people that said they were going to go vegan after they watched Okja. The movie came out around July 4th of this year, so that'll give you an idea on where in their Twitter timelines you want to look. And then, see how many of those same people posted pictures of them eating meat within 2 weeks. In addition to the armchair warrior annoyance aspect of this movie, the movie itself just sucks and is terrible. The large name actors like Jake Gyllenhaal, Giancarlo Esposito, and Tilda Swinton are all phoning in their performances. The girl who plays Mija is alright, but when 50% of your cast is being outperformed by a giant CGI pig monster, you have an issue. The plot is constructed almost entirely out of cliches, and many of the plot lines either go nowhere or make no sense. Like Tilda Swinton's character being replaced 80% of the way through the movie by her evil sister, who is played by Tilda Swinton again. Why? What was the point? What narrative purpose does this serve? Why couldn't they have been just one character? It doesn't make any sense. Why do people like Okja?
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
Oh, alright. Thor Ragnarok. Well, I have something to admit to you all. I am a Marvel fanboy. I know. Shouldn't start my movie review series off with dissing Okja, which everybody loves, and then talking about how much of a Marvel fanboy I am, because even though everybody is, people on the internet just don't seem to take kindly to it for some reason. You know what? Suck it. I love Marvel, always have, always probably will. I don't know. Zack Snyder could direct a Marvel movie and that could change everything. Anyways, Thor Ragnarok. Good movie. Loved it. It was the final Marvel movie of this year and what I felt was the best year for Marvel Cinematic Universe. Thor Ragnarok was directed by one of my personal favorite directors in, oh boy, here we go, another name I can't pronounce, Taika Waititi. That might have been right.
With Taika Waititi.
Well, hello, welcome.
Who also directed What We Do in the Shadows and Hunt for the Wilder People, both stellar movies. 100% recommend watching both of those movies. It's no secret that the previous 2 Thor movies were some of the lower points of the Marvel Universe, but this movie turns all that around. Now with actual humor, a creative visual style, and proper use of Thor, Loki, and Hulk, Ragnarok breaks the chain of instantly forgettable Thor movies. To get the negative out of the way first, the drama falls very flat in this movie. Many of the character deaths had little impact because I could barely remember who anyone was. They honestly made me question whether I had actually even seen the first 2 movies. I have, by the way, seen those movies. Again, they are just instantly forgettable. If you're a diehard Thor fan, if anybody in the world is a diehard Thor fan, is that a thing? I don't think it is. But if you are, you will probably appreciate the narrative better than I did. The villain is okay? Not as bad as the usual Marvel villain of the week we see in these movies, but she is used like one. Anyways, this movie really shines in the action and the humor. Marvel movies are popcorn flicks. Not everything needs to be an artistic masterpiece to be enjoyable. And that's what Marvel really does best. Just fun movies with good humor, likable characters, and that's alright. And in that aspect, Thor kills it. However, it was still only my third favorite movie out of the Marvel Universe this year. My second was... It was Spider-Man. It was Spider-Man. Spider-Man Homecoming sees the true return of Spidey back into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. No origin story this time, and since we already met the new Peter Parker in Civil War, we really don't waste much time on setting up the character at all. It's honestly amazing to just get right into some web-slinging action. Spider-Man takes full advantage of the Marvel Cinematic Universe's love for 80s themes. Again, many of the things that make most of these Marvel movies fun to watch are present here. I set this one over Thor though because I was much more impressed with the character arc and the use of the villain. Thor goes on a journey and is supposed to find out how to be a leader, except you don't really feel like he has changed much by the end of the movie. Spider-Man actually feels like he learns and matures throughout his movie, and the villain actually feels like they have real motivations in this one. Plus, it's nice to see a smaller scale villain that actually makes sense when the Avengers also exist. It's getting harder and harder to explain why world-ending villains would only be fighting one superhero. I'm looking at you, Iron Man 3. If the president was kidnapped and Iron Man was presumed dead, why did no one go to save the president? Guardians of the Galaxy 2, my personal favorite Marvel movie of the year. Chris Pratt is amazing, and Kurt Russell is also amazing. Again, I give this movie major props for actually using a villain well. Guardians tries to balance a multitude of different plot lines and does so with only a little bit of stumbling. You've got Star-Lord, Yondu, Drax, and Gamora all doing their own thing, but it comes together at the end. And speaking of the end, this is the only Marvel movie to ever bring a tear to my eye. Most people seem to think that this movie isn't as good as the first one, but I would argue it is at least as good as the first one. People tend to be much more critical on sequels, i.e. nitpicky. The first movie had flaws too, guys. And then that brings us into the DC universe. Justice League. Oh gosh. While fans and critics can agree that Marvel movies are killing it and only getting better, DC continues to try. And you know, that good props for them for trying. The Justice League, we finally have all of our favorite DC heroes assembled to fight a villain that is definitely in no way supposed to remind us of Thanos. Nope, that's a coincidence. Get that out of here. The project was started by Zack Snyder, but after leaving due to personal tragedy, Joss Whedon took over. While some DC fans have applauded the dark and gritty tones in the DC universe, most of us couldn't have been more excited to see them toned down a bit. Personally, I am always of the opinion that a movie about an alien that fights crime in his underwear and a 50-year-old who fights crime dressed up as a bat could only be taken so seriously. In Justice League, we have an entire character that is actually comic relief. Oh my god, what an idea. So Justice League hit a new high for the DC universe. They made a movie that was watchable and fairly entertaining throughout, except that ending monologue about darkness, which sounds as if it was lifted directly from a notebook of a 14-year-old trying to write poetry. Dear God, Lois Lane, you're a professional writer, get it together. So how about Wonder Woman, everybody's favorite DC movie? Except for mine. Yeah, that's right. By normal movie standards, it's pretty meh. Not bad, but nothing we haven't seen before. Some people herald this movie as the greatest thing for female empowerment ever done in film. And to those people, I would say you should probably watch more films. But hey, if it's that to you, then that's fine, you know? I mean, that's a positive thing. I'm not gonna take that away from you, even though I don't agree with you. It's your basic story about a naive young warrior who thinks she's the greatest in the world, learns the hard way she is not, and then by the end of the movie actually is the greatest in the world. But thanks to friendship or something? I don't know. Never seen a movie with that plotline before, have we guys? I don't care a ton for Gal Gadot's acting, quite frankly, and the male love interest I feel takes away from the Wonder Woman being this powerful, independent icon people are making her out to be. I mean, really, it feels like her only weakness was this guy. That's not female empowerment. Baby Driver. Baby Driver, apart from having the worst name out of all the movies this year, was actually my favorite movie of the year. Baby Driver is part musical, part fast-paced crime thriller, and all parts amazing, with standout performances from basically everybody involved except for generic love interest girl. Starring Ansel Elgort, John Canadian Bacon, Mr. Punisher, crazy as a Jamie Foxx, and he who must not be named anymore. Directed by Edgar Wright, who would probably know as the guy who makes all the British Seth Rogen movies. Those guys. Baby Driver delivers on action, a compelling story, and debatably the best soundtrack of the year. There's not much more to say about this movie that wouldn't spoil it, so I'll just say, go watch it. It's like on YouTube now. You can watch movies on YouTube now. That's weird. Dunkirk. Dunkirk is the latest feature film from Christopher Nolan, who you may know from the Dark Knight trilogy, but also he makes good movies sometimes. Dunkirk is not the World War II movie starring Andrew Garfield where exciting stuff happens, it's the movie starring nobody where nothing happens. Watching Dunkirk is like a case study for why you should write stories in 3 acts, because Dunkirk is a movie that lacks a first and a third act. You're dropped right into the action with a soldier running from Nazis towards the French shore. Then, nothing happens for like 2 hours except some boats blow up, and then they go home. This movie is so boring, they have to add a totally irrelevant side story so that something interesting could happen. But don't worry, it's a Christopher Nolan movie, so at least, if nothing else, it will be visually entertaining. And it was nothing else. It. Yes, the movie It. It is what happens when a bunch of Hollywood executives sit around a boardroom looking for a series to reboot while watching the hit Netflix original series Stranger Things. It even features lead Stranger Things boy, Finn Wolfhard McBladehands Cool Namington. The rest of the kids are just knockoff Stranger Things though. The good news is, despite being one of the most obvious money grabs I saw all year, it is based on one of the only good Stephen King novels out of like 107, and successfully rips off the tone of Stranger Things. Continue to talk about this movie for a few more paragraphs, or I could just say Stranger Things 3 more times and you would probably get it, so Stranger Things, Spooky Clown, Stranger Things. And then I'd like to take a quick break here in the middle to plug MoviePass. I don't get paid to do that because I seriously have like 275 subscribers. I'm not getting paid from anybody to plug anything. So you know, when I say I like something, it's because I actually like it. So you should consider trying MoviePass. If you're like me and you like to watch a bunch of movies, MoviePass is $10 a month. You get to go see 1 movie a day, every day. You can't see 3D movies, but apart from that, it's unlimited movies. I mean, I go about once a week when there's good movies, and sometimes less, but who cares? That's a terrible plug. War Machine, I'll be honest with you guys. I saw War Machine about 7 months ago and it wasn't that memorable. The only thing I really remember was that George Clooney was in it. So if George Clooney in it, it's gotta be at least a 6 out of 10, so 6 out of 10. Except it was Brad Pitt, dang it. Blade Runner 2049. Blade Runner 2049 was the sequel that nobody was asking for. Even fans of the original Blade Runner were left scratching their heads and asking why. And making Ryan Dreamboat Gosling the main star of the movie, for who? Who wanted that? Add to that the original director Ridley Scott wasn't even involved in the project, and well, okay, wait, that one's actually a good thing. Oh, and they got Denis Villeneuve to direct instead? Oh, and they focused on practical effects over CGI? Oh, and this is actually my favorite movie of the entire year? Well, okay then. Seriously though, Blade Runner 2049 is a slow-paced movie, so it's definitely not for everyone, but damn, this movie is so good. That scene in the casino with the holographic Elvis going on and off after a while, just, I don't want to spoil anything for you, just go see it. Logan. I was originally going to pass on Logan because somebody spoiled the entire movie for me on Facebook, and the trailer also spoiled like most of it anyways. God, I hate trailers. But after the amazing reviews that came flooding in for it, I decided I'll give it a shot. And oh boy, am I glad I did. Logan is an adaptation of Old Man Logan in the story of X-23, and it is violent. I guess you could say it's a graphic novel. Anyone still watching after that joke? No? Alright, well I'm gonna go anyways. Logan was a real treat. It was Wolverine finally acting the way Wolverine was supposed to. I can only hope that between this and Deadpool, movie studios are more willing to take chances on edgier comic book situations, and no, not like that. You get out of here. You get out of here before you ruin it for everybody. Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast is just like the original except live action and starring someone that is maybe not actually good enough at singing to be starring in this movie. I'm sorry. I'm not dissing Emma Watson, just the fact that she can't sing. I mean, she's great. but clearly they felt the need to auto-tune her voice a little bit. I would say enjoy it while it's on Netflix before Disney pulls it off to make their own streaming service, or you'll have to wait for the Disney streaming service to fail and then it'll be back on Netflix in 2019. The Lego Batman movie. It is so hard to successfully do comedy that the whole family can enjoy, but that is exactly what Lego Batman pulls off. From start to finish, the Lego Batman movie delivers on the same kind of laughs that the Lego movie delivered on. Michael Cera is a total joy as Robin, and Will Arnett and Zach Galifianakis are so good as Batman and the Joker, I just want to push them right into those roles in the DC live-action universe.
It's not illegal, it's frowned upon, like masturbating on an airplane.
I'm pretty sure that's illegal too.
Yeah, maybe after 9/11 where everybody gets so sensitive. Thanks a lot, Bin Laden.
This time around, the family-friendly message is about working together as a team and being open with your friends, but who cares about that? It's funny and it's entertaining and Legos are awesome. Jim and Andy. First of all, the only reason to watch Jim and Andy is if you've seen Man on the Moon and you're a huge Jim Carrey fan. Otherwise, absolutely skip it. Essentially, this special tells the story of how Jim Carrey went crazy and made everyone who was unfortunate enough to be working on the movie completely miserable. Method acting is a hell of a drug, especially when you're method acting a notorious prankster who used method acting as part of his comedy. Jim talks about how Andy possessed him and he didn't feel that he was in control of his actions at the time. I don't believe that, but maybe Jim genuinely believes that, so that's an interesting character study right there. Jim kind of comes off as an ass in this movie, quite frankly. If you're a huge fan of Jim Carrey in Man on the Moon, and you don't care about Jim Carrey being an asshole, there you go. There's a weirdly specific Netflix special for you. Mudbound. Netflix has a history of creating some of the greatest modern television shows and some of the most disappointing movies I routinely watch, because I guess I hate myself or something. But Mudbound has broken the curse. Mudbound is a period piece about two men returning home from World War II to rural Mississippi. One white and one black. Featuring some truly knockout performances from pretty much all of the main cast, but Rob Morgan and Garrett Hedlund really stole the show for me. It's compelling and dark and an honest look at how racism ruled the South during the time. To see the story framed as a black veteran who fought and sacrificed for years for our country to come back home and be told he's not allowed to use the front door just makes you as captivated as it does sick. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'll just say this is my favorite Netflix original movie by a mile, and since you can watch it for free from home, you have no excuse not to watch it. My Friend Dahmer. My Friend Dahmer is based on a graphic novel by Derf Backderf, who takes a look at Jeffrey Dahmer in his senior year of high school. Yes, Jeffrey Dahmer, the infamous serial killer. It's slow-paced and has that indie movie feel, which are both things that I love, but aren't for everyone. This movie focuses heavily on Dahmer's failing relationships with people and how he tries and fails to connect with friends and family. We follow Dahmer from the end of his junior year in high school, where he's dissolving animals in jars of acid in his back shed, until his very first murder post-graduation. This movie doesn't particularly try to make you sympathize with Dahmer, just tries to make you understand what parts of Dahmer may have been born that way and what parts came about due to his screwed up home life and drinking. If you're into serial killers, check it out. If you're not a psycho, probably pass. Alright, and two more movies, which I didn't even have a chance to write any script for yet, so I'm just gonna wing it. Coco. Coco was an animated movie by Pixar. I loved it. I saw it with my family, and all three of us cried. It was just completely heart-wrenching at the end. You go from sad to happy crying to just crying like a baby, and it's embarrassing. I love it, and it's one of the most visually impressive Pixar movies ever. I mean, it's Pixar, so it's everything you think it is. It's predictable. The plot's not really gonna wow you, but it is 100% worth watching, and it's an amazing movie, and I loved it, and go watch it and have yourself a good cry. And the most recent movie I've seen this year, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing County, or over Ebbing County. I think it's outside Ebbing County. 3 Billboards is a movie starring some people by that guy that made In Bruges and 7, 9, some amount of psychopaths. X amount of psychopaths. Movie is amazing. It doesn't really care at all about traditional story structure, and unlike Dunkirk, it actually does it successfully. It doesn't really necessarily follow the regular path of when character arcs are supposed to start and end, which is great. It does it super well. The dialogue is amazing. It's not quite David Fincher levels of dialogue, but it's pretty goddamn close. It's just a really good movie. I thought it was based on a true story, and it wasn't. I think it goes a long way that the movie feels so real that I would think that, but it really just isn't. It's a completely original story. Three Billboards will probably definitely take home some Oscars. I'm not sure which ones. Maybe Best Lead Actress, maybe Best Supporting Actor. It's a fantastic movie. It's gonna win awards. I would 100% recommend this movie to everybody. And alright, that's all the movies I've seen so far this year that also came out this year. I'm gonna go see The Disaster Artist tonight. So you probably won't see a review for that. Maybe catch me on Twitter. I do usually tweet out a quick movie review after I've seen them, either like a pass or go see it kind of thing. So if you're not following me on Twitter, maybe you should be. Plus, I always tell when I'm going to go live. I have started streaming again, so if you enjoyed this video, this one was really mostly for the fans, but if you weren't already a fan of mine and you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. I really just kind of made this as an end-of-the-year wrap-up that I thought people who already like my videos would enjoy. But, you know, hopefully anybody watching this, I hope you enjoyed it. Again, please subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Hit the bell for notifications. Check out my live streams, my Twitter, plug all my general social medias. I know you guys probably hate this, but I have to do it, because otherwise people won't do it. That's just the way the world is. And go buy a Movie Pass. Go buy yourself a Movie Pass. It's sick. I love it. It's the best service. I'm going to use it tonight when I go see The Disaster Artist. And then I'm going to go see Star Wars in a week. And it's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. That's really it. I love your beautiful faces. Bye-bye. Click on one of the videos. Click on one of the videos. Alright, fine. Don't. I don't care.